Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. Hi, welcome to the student panel. We're just going to wait a few seconds to have everyone join us. And until we start, it would be really nice if everyone would tell us where in the world you're joining us from. We have people from Canada, people from all over the place, so different time zones. Sorry if it's really late for you. We have people from Mauritius, India. That's really nice. Okay, so welcome everyone. On behalf of the Faculty of Mathematics here at the University of Waterloo, we are excited to welcome you to our Student Life panel today for the March Break Open House 2023. We have staff admissions and recruitment team available in the live throughout the whole presentation. You can ask questions that you may have for them in the Q&A section. My name is Fikar Tulu. My pronouns are she, her, and I am from the Faculty of Environment. My program is Environment and Business, and I am currently on my first co-op term right now as the Recruitment and Outreach Assistant for the Faculty of Math. Today, I will be moderating this panel with three of our amazing math ambassadors in different programs within the Faculty of Mathematics. So I hope you all enjoy this session and that it would give you an inside information into the life of some of our students in the Faculty of Math. So to get us started, let's introduce some of our students here today. Arvind, would you be comfortable introducing yourself first?
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Arvind Nagabairava. My pronouns are he, him. And I am a 4A BCS data science student here at Waterloo. It's lovely to be here. Hi.
Amy, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Amy, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm in the third year of the math program, computational mathematics and statistics double major. I'm really excited to talk to everyone today. So,
Shawnee?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Ashani Kurmade and my pronouns are she, her. I'm currently in the honors math program and I'm in my 2A. So yeah, can't wait to start talking.
So those are our wonderful math ambassadors. Um, so to start off this panel, let me start off with a question for like all of our ambassadors. The first question that I would like to ask you would be like a general question where you could tell us how the environment and the community is like within the Faculty of Math. Is it competitive? Is it what kind of environment is it? How are the professors? How is your experience been so far at the University of Waterloo?
All right, I'll start. So I've been here for 4 years now, so I've had a lot of time to get to know the environment, get to know the professors, and I'll focus on the professors, and the other two can talk about some of the other stuff. But I've loved the professors I've had so far at Waterloo. So many amazing professors. In first year, I had a professor named Eddie DuPont, who is just such a wonderful guy, who's my calc professor. Carrie Knoll, Professor Carrie Knoll was amazing. Jordan Hamilton, so many amazing professors that really care, especially when you're in first year. We get you all of the best professors with the awards and all of that, and they're just so kind and really good at what they do. So I've loved the professors I've had here. So that's my part.
Yeah, and just to add on to what he said, the environment here is really nice. It's very warm for sure. With respect to the competitiveness, I feel like it's as much as you want it to be. If you want to be like the high achiever with, all your advanced courses, you can be, but if you want to sort of do your courses, but also do a bunch of other things like clubs and everything, you can do that as well. So it's very warm, and there's a lot of support available as well through your professors, through your TAs, through the tutoring center. And another thing I really like about the Faculty of Mathematics is just how flexible it is. I mean, um, math itself, the honors math program, I believe, has around 14 majors that you can choose from. So there's something for everyone here, which I really like. Yeah.
Amy, I'll let you answer the next question that we have.
Sure.
So, our first question has come into our Q&A. It says, is it really hard to get into Waterloo Computer Science? What average will they accept? From what I heard, it is that they need high 90s, and you would need to have a really strong extracurricular in order to get in, even though acceptance rate is 4.3%. I think Arvind is more. Um, you can answer this question.
Sure, I'll take a crack. I think we have one of the people from our back-end team who's going to be helping out in the chat as well, answering away. But in short, what I always tell students, and what I'm going to tell even my brother when he starts applying next year, is if you have over a 90 average, a good solid mid-90s, you like the courses you're taking, and you have a solid extracurricular portfolio, if you do all of that and you still don't get into the program you want to, it's not on you anymore. That's on us. We couldn't take you in for whatever reason. So it's what I've been telling students forever, so I'll say it again. Mid 90 average, extracurriculars, have a good time. Even if you have all of that and you're still not able to get into your programs, that's not your fault anymore. So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. It is a competitive program for sure. Yeah.
Another question that we had, kind of like everyone can answer, but since I cut Amy off, I think we can um give you this question. Someone asked us about residents. Do you have any like favorite residents on campus? It could be off campus as well. Any thoughts on that?
Sure. So I actually lived in residence for 2 years, from my first year to second year, and I made so much new friends there. And there are Lordons as well as building dons that are here for you like every day. If you have any problems, they are there to help you. My favorite residence was the University of Waterloo Place. I really liked how the meal plan was also very good. They give you a lot of great food there. I love the food in Waterloo. Yeah. Anything you want to add?
Is Shawnee? No.
Yeah, for sure. My favorite residence is going to be MKV because I live there. But I think with respect to residence, I feel like it's great for first years to live on residence. It's the best way I feel like to make friends because everyone there is like you. Everyone's moved out of home for the first time. Everyone's trying to figure out a new city. Everyone's trying to just, I mean, I moved half the way across the world. So it's a great space to make friends, and I think there are like two styles of living. There's a dorm style and there's a suite style. So whenever the residence forms goes out, you can fill in your choice. But there are pros and cons to both, I think. With your suite style, you get your own private space. You can cook if you want to, but with your dorm styles, it's definitely a little more social. So I feel like it's what you want to make out of it. But yeah, I highly recommend living on residence in first year.
Yeah, makes sense. Another question that we have that you could all kind of answer is, how hard is it to find co-op during your first term?
All right, I'll take this one. So I'd say your first co-op is going to be your hardest co-op to find, uh, and you're going to have slightly a different experience than we've had in the past couple years, because of the pandemic. But a lot of what you'll see is online interviews, so you won't often have to go in. It is obviously harder in your first year because you won't have anything to show as much as you will once you have your first co-op term. I remember I was in first year applying to, 50 jobs, another 50 continuous rounds, and then eventually, more often than not, you'll find something. Most students do. So yeah, first year it is a bit challenging. It'll take a bit more time, but honestly, once you have that first co-op experience under your belt, smooth sailing from that point forward. It becomes a lot easier to find a job. Even if you want to try something new, I started off doing QA work and then I transitioned to data engineering and data science jobs. And that's one of the things I love about co-op. You don't have to do the same thing every single term. You can mix it up, or you can do the same thing over and over in like different companies and things like that. So challenging for your first time, but it does get easier.
Yep. Can you add? Sure. So my first co-op, I needed to go through 4 cycles, but there are like multiple cycles throughout the term where you can apply to different jobs. I think this is a really good advantage being in the co-op term. And so a cycle has a job search period, an interview period, and then there's some time that you can rethink your strategy before you go into the next term. So like for me, I had to republish my resume for 5 times and then I actually got the job and I thought it was a great experience trying to improve myself during the term. So yeah.
Yeah, so for the next question, we had a question asking about selecting your math major and what exactly is the process and what year do you choose it? Ishani, do you want to take
Yeah,
that?
I can take
Yeah.
this one. Um, it's honestly, it depends from major to major. Like I said, I think there are 14. I think one or two of them are entry level. Like you need to enter university with your major declared. I think you have that option with farm, and I think data science. I'm not too sure. Might want to check. No, all right, yeah. Then I know you have that with farm, but then with respect to declaring your majors, all the majors have like a certain requirement. Like maybe you need a 75% overall or a 60% overall, or you need to have taken these certain courses to declare your major. Um, some majors require you to declare them, but some you can like in your 2A or in your 2B, but some of them you can declare them whenever you want to. Like I haven't declared my major yet, and even if I don't, I'm good. I could just declare it in my 3A, 3B, and I'd still be fine for the major I've chosen. But for some other majors, it's 2A, or for some others, I think it's like 2B as well. So you just want to go on the website, check which majors you're interested in. Don't stress about it too much though, because there's a lot available, and in case you don't get into one major, I'm pretty sure there's something very similar also. So yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that real quick. If you're having any questions, like if you have questions about, majors, minors, how to add things to your plan and things like that, do you have the right courses? You can check out the link that Laura Jane just put in the chat. And then once you're here, you can meet with our advisors. So they'll always be available for you to come in and then talk about those things, what courses to take, what the process is, and when you can declare things like that. So that's a great resource. And about I do want to mention a little bit more about the first co-op. Lots of resources for that too. Resume critiques are offered by clubs and official campus resources like the Center for Education and Career Advancement, CECA. So loads and loads of resources for just about anything you can think of because we've been through so many students before. I'm sure someone's had your problem too.
Thank you, Arvind. So, moving on to the next question. Someone has asked, what courses are recommended in high school if you're thinking of applying to computer science in university? A lot of computer science questions.
I can take that too. I believe it's usually you need 2 math courses, an English, and then your other ones are going to be from your top 6, I believe. If you're in Ontario, for sure. I'm not sure what the requirements are outside of that. But your high school guidance counselor should be able to help you with that, and all of that information is probably on a website that we'll be able to drop in the chat soon as well.
Um, we also had another question talking about clubs and activities. So, what activities and clubs are available on campus, and which ones would you recommend joining? Ishani, you want to take that one?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I believe there are over 200 clubs on campus. So you could just go onto the website, the WUSA's website, and search up any club you want to. You want a more like academically inclined club, like a CS club or an ActSci club, or data science. There's a club for that. Great clubs to join. They host a lot of good events. There are resume reviews for your first co-op, networking with your peers, networking with already maybe existing industry professionals. Apart from that, there are clubs to just have fun as well. You have a hip hop club. Um, I know that there's a chess club. There's a club for everything over here. Um, and if you're an Indian, there's an Indian Cultural Association. We host a lot of great events, so please do come for them if you ever join Waterloo. But yeah, there's something for everyone, and it's great. And you can get involved in multiple ways. You could start off by just like attending their events. In fall terms, the events are really nice, and then there's a club fed every semester as well in SLC, where you can walk around, look out for the clubs that you really like and sign up for them. And if you want to become an executive, I think you could just follow them on their socials, and then you could find out through that. But there's something for everyone, like sport, writing, academic, whatever you wanted. Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. It's more directed to Amy and Ishani. The question was, does your high school education matter? And if you haven't studied in Canada, how hard is it going to be in the first and upcoming years? Amy, you want to take this one?
Sure. So I would say that as an international student, the most difficult thing in first year was actually the culture, since like it's a new culture and you're trying to get adapted to a new place. So for math courses, personally, I thought it was less of a burden because all of the first year math courses are intended to be uh, provided for like no background about math or any like CS. Um, so I think the most important thing as an international student would be making connection with other international students or friends, and then like math courses are something that you can also adjust to as like you are moving on to uh, being a college student.
Yeah, I agree with Amy on that one. I feel like, so personally, I come from an Indian education background. So for me, adjusting to the content, like just the course content, was not that hard. It's definitely a level up, but that's with any program you get into. Not really necessary to maths, but it's definitely a level up. But you can adapt to it pretty easy. The only I feel like slightly challenging part for me was to just the course delivery, because that's not how I was taught back home. For me, back home, before I came in high school, assignments were supposed to be the easier part of the course. But in university, that's not necessarily the case. You need to spend a lot of time to get your assignment done. So I think it's just the mindset change, and like you said, I feel like if you meet like-minded international students, but also locals who've probably studied in Canada, I think a mixture of both and you should be good. Um, and but I would highly recommend office hours in case you ever feel like you've not understood something or you just simply don't understand. Okay, but Why is this the way that it works? Office hours are great. So you shouldn't worry too much in terms of the method. Just come with an open mind. Yeah.
Thank you both for the answers. Those are really nice. more of a question directed to Arvin. Someone was asking if computer programming or coding was required for admissions, and if they would get extra credits if they study computer science in high school.
Right. So we officially don't have a requirement for you to study computer science in high school. It's not a prerequisite. It can't hurt, obviously. But what we do in your very first computer science course is that course is probably CS 135, maybe CS 145, which is the enriched version. We can answer questions about that later. Is it's taught in a language called Racket. If you haven't heard of it, that's the point. No one really uses that as much outside of an educational context. And it's not a language like Python or Java or something like that, where some people would have never seen it before and then others will be able to know it inside out. So I'd say that in your first semester, being taught in Racket is a huge advantage because it levels the playing field. If you have the experience, if you don't, no one has, Racket experience, so to speak. And that's not to say, go out and learn Racket. That's not the point. You'll be taught in a very, very friendly, like hands-on way. No prerequisite knowledge is expected. You're taught from the ground up. I didn't have very much computer science experience coming into the university. I had never been to a hackathon. I did take computer science in high school, but I only knew like a little bit of Python, maybe one Java project. So yeah, don't worry about not having computer science experience. That's why you're coming here. So yeah.
Another question directed at kind of everyone. What is the hardest math class? Amy, do you want to take this on, or maybe Shawnee?
There are many, but that's just a secret between you and I. But in terms to first year courses, I think personally I really enjoy calculus, so I love the calculus courses. But I think one sort of hurdle that everyone comes across in first year is Math 135, and the following course Math 136. You will see a lot of students sort of ganged up in a study room trying to get through the assignment. Um, they definitely, I feel like, a little more on the harder side. Not impossible. Um, not to toot my own horn, but I did really well in them. But it definitely requires a lot more effort than maybe the rest of the courses that you're taking that semester. But I mean, now that you have a heads up, you should be, I mean, I guess, better mentally prepared, I guess. But those were definitely the one of the first two like really tough courses I've come across here.
Sure, I can also relate. I think Math 135 and 137 would be the two math courses about algebra and calculus that you'll be taking when you are in first year. And most of them require you to write proofs in your assignments, which is something you might not have done in high school. So it's a good time to refresh your perspective on how you see math. And I think that would be a hard part if you come for the first time. Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Which sequence do you guys recommend the most?
All right. I can take that one. So I'm in sequence four. If the sequences are what they were when I applied, sequence four is the one where you have three consecutive school terms, then you alternate. I love my sequence. It's really challenging in the beginning when you have three consecutive terms, especially by that third one. You're coming off of, two of the most academically challenging terms you've ever had. So it's hard in the beginning, but I love that after that you get to alternate, and then at the end you have an 8 month co-op, which you can do 4 and 4 at two different companies, or you can do one 8 month co-op. The other ones are also great. It just depends on what you're looking for. One of the sequences I know is 4 months longer, and with that one, what you have is after your first two terms, you get a summer off, like you would in high school, and you can do whatever you want with that. You could go back home if you're an international student, just take time off, adjust to things, process, relax. So there are the four sequences. I've had people tell me from all four sequences that they like what they're doing. So just look at what you have. If you want that 8 month, then sequence four is one of the few that has that, if I remember correctly. If you want the term off, there's only one of those. So just look into what's available, and I believe that's a first come first serve. You can change your sequence maybe if something comes up well into your university for the right job. But for now, just look at the first four that are available and think about what you want your career calendar to look like, your undergrad calendar to look like.
Moving on to the next question. We had a question asking about how does the work-life balance kind of go. So having a co-op term and then being able to balance social life and stuff. I think I could give that to Shani. You're on your co-op term right now.
Yes, I am on a co-op term right now, but I've also taken a course, so work-life balance really it comes into play this term for me. Work-life balance in general, I think, is it can get a little like topsy here and there. I feel, but that's with your first years because you're really taking that time to adjust yourself to the content that's being taught to you. At the end of the day, it is going to be a little tougher than your high school. You're in a new place. You have that to figure out. If you're living off campus, you have to do your own dishes, figure out your own food. You're trying to make friends, but at the same time, you also want to keep your average good. Uh, so, I mean, I'm going to speak of personal experience. I remember my first term, so my 1A. Looking back, I feel like I ended up spending more time trying to just get adjusted to a new country and make new friends. And then in my second term is when I was like, when I was settled in on residence, I had a good set of friends, is when I really focused on like my academics. Um, Looking back, that's how it sort of played out for me. But ideally, if you manage your time well, have a Google Calendar, get it all on there, you should be good. And with respect to co-op, whenever you're applying for co-op, just think of it as an added sixth course until you get a job. Especially for your first co-op, applications are going to take a little more time than you thought. It's a bit like it's a manual job. You just need to keep applying, but it's still there, and you're trying to figure out everything. Um, and while you're on a co-op term, it's definitely much more lighter because you're answerable only from 9 to 5. What you do before 9 and what you do after 5 doesn't matter. If you want to be like me and take a course and have no free time after 5, do it. But you can always take co-op terms are definitely a little more lighter. But that again, it depends on your job and how much work you have for that. Yeah.
Amy, do you want to add on to that?
Of course. So I feel like my friends, I like to play with my friends when I have free time. I also go to math clubs, game clubs, international student societies. Um, and like I listen to a lot of music as well, like to play the piano, which is also in the like I think there's one in a student building that I really like to go to. But my friends really give me the motivation to work as well as have fun. So I think that's the great part of being um in University of Waterloo. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So more of a computer science focused question. What unique features of the computer science program at the University of Waterloo do you believe sets it apart from other universities?
Right. So I'm not too familiar with the other programs that are out there, but I can say the two things that I know for sure that Waterloo does differently. And the first thing is the rigor, the mathematical rigor that goes into your entire education. So the course that a few of us mentioned earlier in the conversation was Math 135. That is your algebra course, but no one calls it the algebra course when they're taking it because the entire time you're learning how to write proofs. You're learning how to do logical reasoning and explaining that not only is my thing correct, I can prove that it's correct. And proofs and logical reasoning courses aren't usually offered, aren't usually taken as part of programs in other universities in first year. From what I've seen, that's a third year, fourth year thing. And I think that it's an amazing thing that we do that in first year. It is a math course and you do learn a lot of new mathematical things, but the biggest part of that course is learning how to prove things, learning how to articulate your understanding and your solutions. for the next 4 years, 5 years of your undergrad, you are going to be using the things you learn in that course. Every single math, stats, CS course I've taken since then has used some element of writing a proof, understanding a formula, or something like that. So that's my biggest takeaway from Waterloo is going to be the way it's helped me shape my mind, how I approach problems, how I explain solutions. And the second thing is our co-op program. Obviously, it's wonderful. On my third co-op term, I worked remotely at a company in San Francisco, and when I got the job, I was like, "Oh my goodness, they're in they're in San Francisco in America. Why are they hiring from here?" And it's because that is what we do. We have the co-op program. We make it really easy for employers from around the world to come and hire our students. And once we get there, we as the students do well enough for them to want to come back to us. So the co-op program is amazing. All of my friends that are, in different fields and different universities, they are right now, having the usual struggles of finding a job on the job boards. Everyone's applying. I need to set myself apart. I need to apply through all these sites. But at Waterloo, on the job board called Waterloo Works, every single day you see new postings during your term before your co-op term. It's hard to get through all of them. That is how many opportunities there are. So those are my two big takeaways: the mathematical rigor in how you learn to communicate your ideas and prove things, and the co-op program.
I think that's what anyone would say for all the other programs as well, not just computer science. So co-op really differentiates Waterloo from other universities. So completely moving on from co-op and school computer science, we have a question asking about residence. So how do the meal plans work? Is it like a common dining hall with selected food items, or do you have to buy food or cook?
I can take this one too, if you don't mind. So there's two different things that you're going to be doing with your meal plan if you are living on residence. You are either going to have a suite style or the dorm style, like Shani mentioned. The suite style comes with a kitchen, so the meal plan is then optional because you can choose to cook. But if you're in a dorm style, it's required just to make sure that you have access to food and you're going to eat and stuff like that. So there's, I think, three different levels of the meal plan: light, average, hearty, and that's the different price ranges for the different meal plans. And with those, you can eat at any of the places on campus using your Watt card, which is your student ID. You can just tap; it works like a credit card. You can add more money if you need to. As for like how it works, there are uh, cafeterias in some of the residence buildings. Everything is a walkable distance from all of the residences. There's going to be one that you'll usually go to. I lived in Claudette Miller Hall, which is CMH in first year. So they'll have like a pizza station, a pasta station, hot food every single day. There's a rotation of new stuff: vegetable, salad bar, yogurt bar, burrito, whatever. So lots and lots of options. And so that's the meal plan stuff. If you're living off campus, you can actually still get a meal plan, which I might do if I don't learn how to cook before my next school term. So that's that. Lots of different options for eating on campus. Lots of little hidden trinkets like ML Diner in one of the buildings. There's actually a diner which I didn't know about, and there's a coffee and donut shop from every faculty. So loads of places to eat. The meal plans are great. I do not think anyone has ever, that I know, has run out of their meal plan money in first year. So it's definitely enough food for you.
Yep. And like one line to add to that would be the balance for meal plans in your walk card. There is a discount for students who live during res for those meal plans. So after you finish living in residence, then you don't have the discount anymore. So it's a great advantage if you are trying to get like meals from campus.
So moving on to the next question. We had a question asking about your co-op experience. Any favorite co-op jobs that you have been through. I think I would give this to Ishani because you're having your co-op term right now.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing is, I think my co-op experience has been a little different than everybody else's up until now, simply because for my first co-op, I didn't have a traditional corporate job. So I went in for this program called We Accelerate, which was offered by the university. I think they started it during the pandemic, if I'm not wrong. And what the program basically was that I think they had four to five industry partners coming in on board with some students and them doing the project. So I worked with Microsoft on that one, and I got to sort of learn a little about AI and cloud computing. And that turned out to be really good for me because now I've landed a really good job with in a really good position. Um, Co-op really teaches you. I think what you learn on the job, you can't even compare it to what you're learning on your study term. It gets you ready for the future. It sort of gives you a little bit of an insight into um, the real world out there. Um, and I feel like I mean, this is my second co-op, and maybe Arvind, he's done way more co-ops, but I think he would agree that every co-op term teaches you something different. Not only in terms of like your skill set, it's also because you're interacting with so many different kinds of people, with of so many different age groups as well. When you're in university, your classroom they're all your age, or at the most you're interacting with a professor, but now you're interacting with somebody who's in their 20s and their 30s. They've all come from very different walks of life and just how you get together and work. So it improves you overall. Yeah.
Amy, do you want to add on to that?
Sure. So I can talk a little bit about the jobs I've worked for as a co-op student. So my first job was in a health company in supply chain, and I've also worked for a teaching assistant in University of Waterloo, and now I'm working in a retail company as a data specialist. And looking at this process, I can see how I got to understand which field I want to work in and which jobs I would really like to take as my career even after I graduate, and that's something I really value. So I think the club opportunity can really help you understand who you are and what you really want to do. And yeah, fully recommend.
Great, thank you, Amy. So another question that we have is there a huge gap between the high school classes that you take and university? If there is it necessary to take an extracurricular class in order to adopt into the environment in advance?
So when I was in my gap between grade 12 and first year, I thought that I needed to take courses to, get ahead. So I was on vacation in India, living with my grandparents for like the whole summer, and I had a tutor teach me integration. And when I finally got to calculus 2, it helped me for maybe like 2 days. Within 2 days, whatever advantage you think you're going to have is going to go out the window because it is not going to be easy for you to find someone that's going to sit you and teach you math with the level of rigor and professional understanding that you need to have to be successful at Waterloo, at pretty much any university, honestly. And any special program that you're in, any special majors or courses or anything that you take before you get to university, it won't hurt you. It won't help you for more than probably a week or two because all you're doing is learning the material ahead. But that doesn't mean you'll learn the material better. So I'd say with your last summer, I urge you, don't do what I did. Don't take courses to, do better in university. Enjoy your summer, especially if you're going to be a co-op student. You're going to have school and co-op alternating all the way through to graduation. Enjoy your last summer. You do not need to take courses to do well in university. That's what university is for. You'll deal with it when you get here. It's not that bad.
Anyone want to add on to that? Okay, we can just.
Yeah. And I feel like if you really still want to, I mean, you still want to like get ahead, like Arvind said, there's no need for you to do it, but I do remember from my first year that before university started in September, around August we had something called Waterloo Ready. It's this sort of course, and you sort of get to do, and one more course. You had access to another course called MPhil 99, if I'm not wrong. It basically is like an overview of everything that you've learned in high school and a little more if that's not what you've learned. You always have that option offered to you by the University of Waterloo. And I recommend doing that. It's a great refresher because I mean you're not going to be doing anything for 2 months. You don't want to let your brain slow down. It's something I went over. I remember before I flew out, I just sort of went over it for like 2 or 3 days, and that was good to go. So there are resources available through the university.
等我嚟搞，我唔食啦，我飽。
Okay, great. So,
我唔
next
食得咁辣
question
噶，我唔
that we
得啦，
have
已經。
is with the Waterloo's course load, is it possible to have a part-time job?
All right, I'll give it a go. So I'd say it's probably not the best idea to do that on your very first term. I'd say take your first term to really get used to university life, get used to university course pace. One of the biggest things about university is how much information you're given at the same time. The speed that you go in a university course is so much faster than probably anything you've ever seen in high school. But on top of that, just in terms of time, you're going to have 5 courses probably, 3 hours of class time per course per week, and then 2 to 3 times that per course per week per hour. So it comes out to 60 to 80 hours, I think, is the usual average of time you're spending in class or on your assignments, looking for jobs. It's going to be like probably 10 more hours a week. It is a lot of time. So if you're looking for a part-time job that you're going to do 20 hours, 30 hours a week, not everyone can do that. That being said, there are part-time opportunities on campus that are slightly less commitment. When you get past first year, maybe into your second, third year, if your grades are high enough, you'll be reached out to, or you can apply for marking positions, and that'll be 3 hours a week or 6 hours a week. There's also positions available refereeing for the many intramural sports that we have on campus, and that'll also be, pick your own schedule. Front desk assistance is also an opportunity after your first year, I believe, as is, dawning. So there are part-time opportunities available, but I'd recommend wait until after you've started, give it a month, a term, to see if you can fit that in, because it'll be different.
I think that's great advice. My friends in second year and third year look for part-time jobs in campus, including the marking positions as well as libraries or any other positions that are provided in University of Waterloo are great choices that you can make since they are very flexible with your schedule. Just my recommendation here.
Thank you, Amy. We have a question related to co-op and your living situation from C. Sina. And it's a question that pretty much everyone kind of wonders about. I wasn't sure about it during first year as well. So if you were to rent an apartment off campus and you need to go to another city for your co-op term, what would those students do during those 4 months that they are not in Waterloo?
Yeah, I could take this question because I almost had to do that. There's an option to sublet your place for 4 months, so you can put up your whatever the price you're asking for, and maybe the location as well.
I think
there's another called Bamboo Housing.
I think even environment
off-campus community. You can always talk to them about finding a sublet for your place, and then people would reach. If you put it up on Facebook Marketplace, people can reach out to you. They can come and sort of look at the place. It's not that hard. It's definitely a little more effort, but once you hear about people doing it or you've done it yourself once, it gets easier. And another thing that I've noticed is eventually you and your friends aren't always necessarily going to be in the same sequence. So
全
what
部都
happened
係
with my friends is
印度
that
人同埋
when
中
one
國
of
人
them goes
佔
off
領咗
for
呢個
co-op and has
數
his
學
room
系。
empty, there's always someone that we know waiting for a place. So it really is not that hard to find somebody to come and stay over, and don't worry, you don't have to pay rent for 2 places at once. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashani. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends doing that as well. So it's usually like a switch kind of thing where there's like one person that lives there for one term, another person that's on their co-op, and it's pretty like easy to post it online and be able to get a sublet. Next question, kind of a fun one. If there's another chance, if you had another chance, would you still choose a program in math? And if not, what other program would you go with? Everyone wants to do math.
Yeah, I think I would like to stick to math. Like I said in the beginning, there's just so much that math has to offer, and just the fact that it's so flexible. You can do whatever you want, whichever course you want, whenever you want, if your program allows it to. And I feel like that's the best part. Like for the major that I'm looking for, one of the really good like options that I have is they've given me a list of suppose like 4 courses, and I'm required to do only 2 of them. I get to choose which 2 I want to do. If I don't want to do something really CS heavy, I have math alternatives, or there's some topic that I'm really interested in, I could do that as well. And I honestly don't know of any other faculty that would sort of give me so much of an option to sort of explore just like my personal interests in that sense. So I would love to stick to maths, and yeah.
Yeah, I'd also stick to math. Ishani talked about the flexibility within while you're taking the program at the university. I chose math and computer science statistics because I wanted flexibility in the workforce. Math is not tied to any one industry. I could end up working for a company that has something to do with sports or medicine. We have a biostatistics major here. You can go into teaching, you can go into literally any industry because every single industry has numbers. Every company has numbers, and every company has computers nowadays. And as part of the math faculty, you can take math courses, computer science courses, stats courses, as much as you want. So the opportunities are endless. And you're not tied to a specific country either. Like, I don't need to stay in Canada. I could go to New Zealand or Australia or anywhere I want to in the world because these skills are transferable to anywhere. So I would definitely stick with the math faculty computer science program. I've loved my time here.
Yep, and just to shortly add into the flexibility of math program, actually in my first year I was thinking of actuarial science or biostatistics as my major. So I knew that statistics was my passion, so I would definitely stick in math. But actually after my second year was when I actually got to declare my major for statistics as well as computational mathematics, since I found out that my passion was more in data and CS. So I think it's really nice to have the flexibility since you don't really know for sure if what you're getting into in your first year would be something you want to do for the next 4 years or 5 years.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, so linking to your answers, we have a question that asks, would you recommend taking a minor? And how could taking a minor affect the work-study-life balance as well as job prospects?
Sure. So I believe if you want to add a minor, then you have to take courses. So if you're trying to add a minor to your program or like your study, then you want to make sure that you have enough time as well as like courses. But yeah, does anyone want to add to that?
Sure. So I'm not taking a minor. I'm in the data science program, and sometimes it feels like a double major with the number of statistics and CS courses I have to take. But I will say that the way most of the minors work is if you plan them early enough, you won't have to change your sequence at all. You'll graduate time. And so the main difference in terms of work-life balance is usually when you get to your upper years, you get the opportunity to take some of the easier courses with your electives, and you can really balance out your schedule if you have a really hard course coming up. Like, for example, I'm taking Intro to AI and like Big Data and courses like that right now. So with my electives, I'm taking a healthy lifestyle course and an English course and something like that. So I'd say that if you do a minor, some of your courses are going to get harder. Your electives, you'll have a lot more restrictions on. So by the time you get to third year, fourth year even, you'll have your core courses for your program, but then your minor courses will also start to be a bit more challenging because you'll be taking third year economics courses, for example, if you're doing an econ minor. It is doable. Just make sure that you talk to your advisor early on so that you know what your courses are going to look like, what your semesters are going to look like, and none of them are too heavy. So doable. Just talk to your advisor, plan ahead.
Thank you, Arvind. So we have a general question kind of asking how you get co-op. Like, does anyone want to do like a rundown of how exactly the co-op program works?
Sure. Okay, I'll take it. So, co-op. It's pretty much the same process every single time. Again, your first time, you're probably going to be doing it for a bit longer. There's a multi-stage process. There probably is a link that covers all of it, but in summary, there's two main stages of postings round 1 and round 2. There's well over 1,000, probably 2,000 postings for math CS students. You can apply to up to 50 of them. You wait, you hear back about interviews, you interview, and then there's a matching process. You look at your offers, you look at your rankings. A ranking is when the interviewer, the company says, okay, I want to give you a number between 1 and 10. This is how much I want you. And then you rank them 1 through 10, and then there's a matching algorithm behind the scenes. Everyone's happy. All the matches go through, and then you're hired. If that doesn't work out in your first round, you go into something called continuous, where every single week there's new jobs, you apply, and instead of having 3 weeks or so with the full application cycle and interview and ranking, it's cut down to 1 week, and then you do that every single week, all the way until you find a job. Yeah, so that is the long and short of how you get a co-op, the process. But other than that, just get good grades, have cool projects, get good at interviewing. There's loads of resources I mentioned before. Clubs will host sessions for resume reviews and mock interviews. The Career Center at campus is going to have opportunities for you as well to work on those things. So not as hard as you think it is, especially once you're done your first one.
Thank you for kind of summarizing it in a short kind of excerpt. Kind of to wrap it all up, we have a question that says, what advice would you generally give to new students applying to university, and what are the best habits that you would suggest to university students coming in as first-year students?
Yeah, I could take this one to start off with. I think one advice I would give is just that come in with the right attitude. And one thing that I noticed after coming to university especially was just that you've gone from a small pool of 100 to 200 people to 1,000 people really quick. And what university makes you realize is that everybody has different priorities. Someone wants a better job, someone wants better grades, someone wants to experience like student life in a different way. I think mine would be just try to identify that. What do you want to get out of your university experience? And speaking a little more like academically, I think just plan your time. Nothing can stop you if you have the right schedule, if you aren't procrastinating. It's a little tough, I know, but it's the way to go. As long as you have your time managed well enough, I'm telling you, you could be able to do everything. Get yourself involved in clubs, get a job, do well in your exams. already comes down to time management and just have fun. I mean, you're not going to get these 4 years back again. I'm already sad that my first year is done. Honestly, just have fun. It's something that I don't think a lot of people get to experience again and again. And I wish I could do my first year all over again. Yeah.
Does anyone else want to add? Amy, okay.
Okay, yeah, I can go next. So my advice would be trying to build your resume starting now, since you want to think about which experiences you might want to fit in your resume, volunteering and work experience maybe, and clubs that you want to join. Personally, I had some benefits joining the data science club and getting to join all these sessions. But yeah, also goal setting. So think about what you want to achieve for sure, like Shani said, and also plan out your work-life balance because it's really important in your first year. Arvind, do you want to add?
For sure. I'd say the biggest thing is really make sure you know why. Make sure you know why you're doing this. Because there are going to be times, there are going to be midterms, there's going to be assignments, there's going to be hard weeks. We're going to sit there and think, why am I here? So make sure you know. You know, passion is what a lot of people
talk about. I'm passionate about computer science. And to me, when I think of passion, it's to enjoy it, to enjoy a subject, to enjoy a course when you're doing well. Make sure that if you're applying to these programs, you enjoy it and you appreciate it, especially and even when you're not doing well in a course. Because no matter who you are going to struggle at some point in some course. Make sure you know your why. Make sure you like it even when you're not doing well. So yeah, know your why.
Thank you, Arvind. That's such a nice way to wrap up the student panel, giving our students something to think of, something to ponder about. Thank you all so much for joining the student panel. We're sorry if we couldn't get to your questions, and since we had a limited amount of time, we have sent the Ask a Warrior form in the chat. If you have any more questions that you would like to ask us, and if we weren't able to answer any of the questions that you had given in the Q&A, but you can use that link in the chat. So thank you all for attending this student panel. I hope you enjoyed it and got some insights from our students and how our students in the Faculty of Math are and what they experienced throughout their years as well. Experience. It was really nice hearing from our math students and ambassadors. Thank you, Arvind, Shani, and me for joining us this evening. It was really nice hearing about your experience, and thank you all for joining. Have a good evening, good night, good morning from wherever you are. Thank you all.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you.
Good luck.